We meet foreign ministers, as you know very well, at least once a month. And most of the really important and strategic international issues are discussed and debated and partially agreed upon, I would say, on a daily basis. So when we discuss about, let's say, sanctions or restrictive measures, whatever you call them, vis-à-vis Iran or Syria or Belarus, I mean, all that is now a common policy. There might be different approaches, but the purpose of the exercise is precisely to find a common platform, and in most cases, I would say, not in all cases, recognizing that, in many cases we do find a common consensus at the end. So if you look at the sanction policy of European Union, in all cases, up till now, we found consensus. And this is despite the fact that member states are impacted or affected by the sanctions in a very different way and different measure. Some are more severely affected than others. And despite that, we come to a common, let's say, consensus at the end of the day. What we, I think, should recognize is that there has been some progress, and we are probably more united in most of the international issues than we were before, even in the Middle East peace process issue, which is sometimes referred to as a divisive issue, as I said. Even there, objectively we can recognize that European Union is a more important player or actor now on the international scene than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Of course, I didn't want to say that competencies of the nation states, of the member states, or national competencies disappeared or vanished or indeed have been reduced significantly. That's not what I want to say. The real issue is where are the dividing lines, and those dividing lines you cannot determine because they are moving and they are changing, especially in the field of common foreign and security policy. You cannot really carve out an area where you say, okay, this is common and this is national. That's impossible. Yes, Europe is in crisis, but I believe Europe is slowly and progressively coming out of this crisis. By the way, crisis, of course, it has been said many times. It's a strange thing. It also distorts sometimes our thinking, because we are under the impact, psychological impact of the crisis. At the same time, crisis can be very useful because it brings things to the surface. So we recognize things which we would not have recognized otherwise without the crisis. And for that reason, a crisis generates action. It generates reaction, which is not always the best way, because proaction would be, of course, more useful. But still, human nature is that when you are in crisis, then you react to it. And that's exactly what Europe has been doing for now almost 4 years. And again, I would say not without success, despite the huge challenges. The markets are volatile. Things happen on the markets in hours, in minutes, maybe in days. Now, political decisions reacting to those market developments do need time. You may criticize politicians that they are slow, they are reactive, they do not take immediately the right decisions, but please, these are politicians. These are not exchange rates. And especially in a democratic system, politicians do need time, and they do even have to ask some institutions, like, for instance, national parliaments or even constitutional courts in some cases, and this has to be respected. So the market also has to understand and recognize that politics cannot have the same speed as the market. Now, this particularly applies to the European Union, where you have an extremely complex and complicated institutional system, where you have a thing which you call community method, which is by nature complex and slow and long. Many of us, we always keep repeating that please be careful about the community method, because we need it, especially medium-sized countries like my country, we need the community method. We feel more comfortable about the community method than intergovernmental decision-making, which might be right, might be wrong, but where we have much less possibility to participate. The real issue here is how much we are divided and how much will be divided in the upcoming years. Now, this is, of course, the $1 million question everybody asks. We have now crossroad, everybody says so. Which way we go? Either we go in the direction of so-called differentiated integration, which is called fragmentation, which is called multi-speed Europe, which is the wrong name, or multi-level Europe, it's probably more correct. A fragmentation which might even end in the progressive dismantling of the present institutional system. Now, the other way, some people say, no, it's not that, it's just the opposite. We'll have to deepen and strengthen integration, and we'll have a more and more united Europe by the time, especially if we want to cope with the difficulties stemming from the economic and financial crisis. Well, I don't think that this crossroad or the so-called forking path is as simple as that. And that's why I am more optimistic about this risk of fragmentation, and I believe that the basic interests which bring us together and keep us together are stronger than the divisive forces. But at the same time, we do have divisions, Eurozone, non-Eurozone, North and South, you know, the hard-working North and the lazy Dolce far niente South, which is nonsense, by the way, but, you know, again, this is a common conventional wisdom now. We have the big ones and we have the small ones. We have the old ones and the new ones, which is something very much rejected by the new ones. Who is really new? No one knows, but never mind. But divisions are there, and I think the question, what is the Hungarian interest in all that, can be answered very simply. We are basically interested in a more united and a more integrated and a stronger and a deeper Europe.